Watching the Jets last night, primetime games, we do overreact to primetime because we all collectively are watching a game. Then we all collectively have an opinion. And with the Jets last night, Aaron Rodgers didn't look good, never got settled in. He threw for under 170 yards. Breece Hall averaged less than 3.5 yards per carry. Garrett Wilson looked good in the first half, shut down in the second half. And then all of a sudden, a guy named Jordan Mason comes in for Christian McCaffrey and looked like Christian McCaffrey. It's one game. Yes, it's Aaron Rodgers coming back. He's 40 years of age. I expect that defense to be formidable. And you have Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson who are, they can change a game. And do I still think that they're going to be a playoff team? Yes, I do. By the way, the over-under with wins after the loss by the Jets, according to DraftKings, the over-under for the Jets wins is 9.5. But I will say this, odds to win comeback player of the year, Aaron Rodgers is the big winner so far, followed by Joe Burrow, Anthony Richardson, Sam Darnold, and Kirk Cousins. What did Sam Darnold come back from? Obscurity?
Averageness?
That's weird. And Jim Harbaugh, I'm sure will be thrilled to know that odds to win Coach of the Year, he's the favorite right now, followed closely by Matt Eberflus, Mike McDonald of Seattle, and then Gerard Mayo after the Patriots had their big win, and Kevin O'Connell after the Vikings had their big win. Seton, what's the poll question we're going to go with today, at least the first hour?
If we started going with biggest overreaction, right now Sam Darnold might win because he's on his way to becoming a Hall of Famer.
Well, maybe a Pro Bowl quarterback. I think Marvin said that he would be the starter in the Pro Bowl. That was our hot take.
And I meant that.
Yeah, of course you did.
If they play the Giants, he's going right to Canton.
Every week. Yeah, every week. All right, so what's the poll question first hour?
Well, we could start off with one here from Todd. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are ... Gonna be just fine. It's one game on the road versus a great team or in big trouble.
They didn't have the ball enough, but give credit to San Francisco. Their offensive and defensive lines were wonderful. And, Brock Purdy didn't do much, didn't have to do much. Jordan Mason, undrafted or a third-year player, but free agent. So you have the highest-paid running back not playing, and then you have the cheapest running back in the NFL. And once again, you don't want to say players like Christian McCaffrey are interchangeable. Just saying, with a really good offensive line and a few other weapons to focus on, he was able to have a game. Now, here's the thing that was tricky for me last night. If I'm a gambler, when is Christian McCaffrey ruled out of this game? So right before kickoff, 30 minutes before, all of a sudden, Mothership comes on the air, and it was an oh, by the way. Like, I was really surprised at how Joe and Troy came on the air, and then it was they got around to Christian McCaffrey isn't playing. That should have been the first thing we saw was Jordan Mason. And you even say to your audience, why are we showing you Jordan Mason? He's starting for Christian McCaffrey. That should have been the first thing. Not it's a glorious night in the Bay, and I don't care. This is about news that was breaking. Now, that's also the tricky part. Did we know, should we have known Friday or maybe Saturday Christian McCaffrey wasn't playing? When did the Niners know that Christian McCaffrey was not going to play? Now, I know it doesn't sound like a big deal, but fantasy owners, also gamblers, you need to know. This is full transparency. And that became a little tricky because Kyle Shanahan, the Niners head coach, was asked this question.
Jordan said after the game that he was told on Friday night he was going to start. When did Christian start feeling awry?
I never told Jordan he was going to start. Told him he had to be ready a bunch, but that might have been Bobby or somebody trying to pump him up. But I knew he was going to have to play a lot. I told him that he was going to have to, it wasn't going to be like usual. He was going to be a number 2 back that was splitting a lot of the time. But now he didn't know he for sure was doing that till today.
Okay. Jordan Mason rushed for 147 yards in the win, the most rushing yards by an undrafted player since Austin Eckler a couple of years ago had 173 yards. But, you're watching this happen right in front of you, and then all of a sudden we're like, who's Jordan Mason, and how long is Christian McCaffrey going to be out? You know, I'd seen an update on Friday that McCaffrey was still bothered, you know, that calf injury, and it'd been lingering in, I guess, preseason. And all of a sudden you're just going, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then they eventually get into the story, and then you realize, okay, he's going to be out of the game. This guy's going to play, and this is the season opener for the NFC champs. And it's the best running back, one of the best players in the NFL. It was treated a little too casually for me. That should have led the broadcast. That it was that important. It's that important. And if I'm a gambler, I want to know. I don't know what that did to the betting line. I don't know if people all of a sudden said, you know what, I'm going to take the 4.5 with the Jets because of that. But it's tricky, and you have to have that information available to gamblers. And fantasy. Now, in some fantasy leagues, you can replace one of your players if another player is playing on either one of those teams. At least I've been told that. So if you had somebody on the Jets or you had somebody on the Niners, you could replace Christian McCaffrey with them because they were playing in the game or their teams were playing in that game. Yes, Paulie.
It's different at different betting sites, but when the McCaffrey news was announced, the 49ers went from 4-point favorites to 3-point favorites, and the over-under went from 42.5 to 41.5.
Yeah, so it did have an impact here. And it sounds like somebody knew something on Friday. Now, Kyle Shanahan is never going to admit that he told Jordan Mason, you're going to get the start. Christian's not playing. Because then the NFL would probably be dialing up Kyle Shanahan to say, Kyle, we can't do that. We can't even give the perception that something was a little haywire, AWOL, something. Yes, Eden.
So, not to go all tinfoil hat on you, but it's just coincidence that then they told the kid on Friday, even though nobody was supposed to know that he was starting, and then ESPN completely downplayed the news that Christian McCaffrey wasn't starting.
Well, watching the broadcast last night.
Right.
I mean, that's the first thing. I don't care what the weather, and it's a sunset and a beautiful night and electricity in the air. You got breaking news. Christian McCaffrey is not playing in the game. You get a pregame show that actually has some news to it. I was just shocked that they didn't treat that like it was something more important than what it was. And you got this guy who's an undrafted free agent, third-year player. They have no idea who he is. We found out who he was watching the game, and he played an integral part in them winning this game. So I was just surprised. But I don't know if the NFL is going to follow up on this. But if you tell me I'm starting my first game, I think I'm going to remember that conversation. I don't know if it was hey, get ready, you're going to play a little bit. Now that's not starting. That's called be ready. Like my college coach would always say to me, hey, be ready as I continue to sit on the bench. He didn't say, you're starting. I would remember that. So it was a little surprising last night from a couple different angles there. All right, let me see. Here's Aaron Rodgers on what went wrong.
Yeah, we were just bad on first and second down, I think, for a lot of the game. And then, we had a couple drives. We converted third downs. But overall, I feel like we didn't have any 3rd and 10 pluses tonight. So that's always a good thing when you look at the stat sheet. But we didn't convert those 3rd and mediums. We had a drop. We had a couple penalties. Had a bad throw. So a lot to correct. But overall, I feel good about our guys. I thought the protection was really good tonight. We just were a little bit off in the run game. Couldn't get Brees going. Couldn't give him enough space. But a lot to build on.
Yeah, it's not time to panic yet. I mean, this is what we want to do. We want to overreact to it. It's the Niners. The Niners were supposed to win. I was surprised the betting line wasn't a little more closer to 6 points, but it was 4.5, then went down to 3. McCaffrey's not playing. And, Rodgers had some weapons, looked good early, but the defense got manhandled last night. That was the big surprise for me. Panic? Not yet. Now, I think they have the Titans next week. Does that sound right? Yes, Todd?
At the Titans, host the Patriots, and then host the Broncos. Those are their next
Okay.
games.
They could easily be 3-1, and then we're going to move on to another topic here. By the way, Jordan Mason salary this year, $985,000. All right, that's good salary. Christian McCaffrey's game check for last night, $940,000.
Stat of the day, stat of the day, tap, tap, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day. Stop.
Stat of the day brought to you by Panini America, the official trading cards. Alex Smith will join us coming up, former NFL quarterback. Jim Harbaugh once again. Top of next hour. I didn't know much about Jordan Mason. And was he Georgia Tech?
Nice.
Okay.
I was going to give you a hint. Fantastic uniforms. A lot of good running backs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jordan Mason. So was he there before Jahmyr Gibbs?
He overlapped with the Gibbs era lightly. Well, actually, he took over after Gibbs went to Alabama. He was 18, 19, 20, 21. He started off great and had some injuries his last few years.
Okay. Fritzy wants to change the spelling, I guess, of Christian McCaffrey's last name.
It was being kicked around the room. McCaffrey. Maybe with a name like that, we should have known that he might run into some kind of problem.
Thank you, Todd. McCaffrey.
And if you play for the Yellow Jackets, shouldn't there be some buzz around Jordan Mason before he gets to the NFL?
Already.
Here all night.
Probably would have held off on the last one.
Tip your waitresses.
Yeah.
$10 cover charge.
2 drinks.
Pretty good game by Brock, wasn't it, Dan?
McCaffrey.
Thank you, Todd.
McAlf.
Okay, so what's the poll question we're going to go with hour one? Then we'll take a break.
I think we're going to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Actually, what about, can I put up something along the lines of the timing of the announcement of Christian McCaffrey's injury? ... Story or not a story?
Yeah, but I'm looking at this from a TV perspective of this is breaking news. It should have been played up larger than what it was. But, you know, for the league and betting, and I don't know. Maybe I'm making too big a deal of it, but it was breaking news, and it wasn't treated that way. It was, we're going to get around to, hey, let's go down to Laura Rutledge. Laura, Christian McCaffrey not playing. Okay. Yes,
But see, I find it more interesting the discrepancy between the player and the coach.
Well,
the player is like, yeah, they told me on Friday, and then all of a sudden the player has to go back up onto the podium and be like, well, I mean, I don't, because he just got everybody in trouble.
I felt bad for him because he has his moment, and he's going up and saying, this is why I don't like the media. Like, wait, dude, you just had your moment. It's not our fault. They're just asking the right question.
Right.
When did he know? When did you know? Friday. Yes, Mark.
Is that going to be awkward? Because in that post-game presser, Kyle Shanahan mentions Bobby. That's Bobby Turner, the running backs coach for the 49ers. Like, wait. Did you tell him that he was going to be starting on Friday?
But Bobby's not interviewed. You don't talk to the assistant coaches. So I'm going to have to take Kyle's word for it that he wasn't told on Friday that he was going to be starting. Okay. Maybe nothing to see here.
I said Friday?
Did I say start?
No, it's me.